Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Now this has been very highly requested. We're going to be reviewing, swatching, and I'll be doing a demo. I'll be creating an eye look with the brand new Jaclyn Hill X Morphe Volume 2 palette. Now like I said, this has been very highly requested. I did review her original palette when it came out, and then I also reviewed the Vault, which was kind of a flop. There was a lot of issues with inconsistency with production with that one. My set that I got in particular was okay, but I know that a lot of people received really dodgy ones that didn't blend. So yeah, rather than doing a first impressions with this video based on what happened with the Vault, I decided to actually give this one a run for its money, test it, and then film the review after playing with it for a few days. So yeah, if you are interested in seeing swatches of this and basically a straight up honest, probably kind of blunt review on the brand new Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 and whether or not it's actually worth the money and do you need it? Is it worth you getting? Is it worth you picking up? Then please keep on watching. All right, first up, price-wise, it's $39 for 35 shades. It is available here in Australia off the Australian Morphe website. I did purchase it myself. It took about maybe a week to come to arrive here to me. This is the external uni carton that it comes in. It's got a beautiful picture of Jaclyn on the back, some info, also all of your ingredients. Now, a lot of the shadows in this are pressed pigments and therefore they are not recommended for use on the eye. It's just an FDA thing. I personally think that all of the shades in this palette are fine for the eyes. I've personally used them on my eyes, no dramas. You will get a little bit of staining on your eyelids with the purples, the pinks, and like the deep reds. But I mean, again, that's pretty standard. The box that it comes in is quite nice, you know, shiny silver and white. It's pretty. It also came in some bubble wrap to keep it safe on its journey. Now, the actual packaging of the palette is so much nicer than the original. I have got the original palette here, and based on, like, because of the packaging, like the paper that it's made out of, it is just filthy. I've had the hardest time keeping it clean. You can't wipe it off. It's stained, like it's gross. So it's really good to see. The new one's actually got like a glossy finish. It's white and silver. There is nothing on the back though, which I do find interesting. And the other thing that I found with this palette that I also think is disappointing is there is no mirror. Now we're paying $39 for an eyeshadow palette here. I want to see a mirror. I can't travel with it. I can't do my makeup with it. I can't use the mirror while I'm applying my makeup. We need to see a mirror in these palettes. I can't figure out for the life of me why they haven't done it either. Like it literally makes no sense to me. So yeah, no mirror. But what I am happy to see is in comparison to the original, the shades are printed underneath each of the eyeshadows. Hallelujah. Like, this is my banged up original palette. Now it did come with a card, like with each of the shade names on it. I'm sorry, but that, I mean, firstly, it's tacky, it looks cheap, it's not. Like, you need to have the shade names printed underneath the eyeshadow, so really good to see that they have actually done that. Now, as a bit of a comparison between the shades, these two palettes are quite different. So, okay. Let's put them on my shoulders. Here they are hanging out. So here is the original. The original is much more versatile, much more universal. You can get like, you know, cool tone looks, neutral looks, warm tone looks. There's also lots of brights, like lots of pops of color in it. In comparison to the Volume 2, the new version, this is pretty much a straight up warm tone palette. So I will start out by saying, you know, straight up in this video, if you do not like warm tone eyeshadows, if you do not like warm browns and lots of orange, you are not going to like this palette. So just don't even bother watching the rest of this. But yeah, these are the two palettes side by side. I wanted you guys to be able to see them side by side. There's definitely an overlap of certain shades. I mean, I think the shadows in this are meant to be all completely different, but there are definitely like a couple of the neutral sort of warmer tone medium browns that are basically exactly the same. Now the original palette is really nice. It's got a great formula, very blendable. The mattes and the shimmers are all really nice. But yeah, there is definitely an overlap of some colors, and I do think that the original palette's much more versatile and that more people will be able to use it than this one. This one's sort of more specific to those of you who are like eyeshadow junkies, who really love your eyeshadows, you love collecting eyeshadows, and in particular, you love warm tones. So yeah, these are all of the shadows that do come in it. There are a mixture of formulas, like I said, 35 shades. You've got straight up mattes, you also have shimmers. Now you do have like a new kind of formula. I feel like she might have called it like a pressed glitter maybe, but it's a shimmer with like a very slight kind of very light glitter reflect through it. So a bit of a new formula there. Mostly browns, mostly oranges, and mostly reds in this palette. I mean, you can see the shades from looking at it. There are some purples down this end of the palette. There is a black, which is really, really good to see. It is a matte black, but like with tiny little bits of shimmer through it. And then there is also like a pale, she calls it a flat white. It's certainly not a flat white. Don't buy this palette thinking that there is a flat white in it, because it's more of like a cream, like a matte. It's like a matte cream color. Personally, for me, for my taste, for what I like, for my preferences in eyeshadows, I really, really like this palette. I think that it's beautiful. These are Nikkia colors, and you certainly can get neutral looks out of this one. But the thing is, and the thing that I have found from testing this and using this and really sort of putting it through its paces, all of the neutral browns that are in this palette, once they're on the lid and they sort of blend it out, they all tend to look the same. So if you're looking at purchasing this with the thought in mind that you're going to be able to create a variety of neutral looks, you will not be able to. Majority of them do look the same on the lid, and even like these sorts of shimmers in like these beigey kinds of tones, they kind of all look the same on the lid. So I do want to make sure you are aware of that. Just in case you were looking at this thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to get, 10 different neutral looks out of it, you will not be able to. But as far as colored looks and as far as looks with, pinks and reds and purples, there is a really, really good variety. And I have found that they have all performed fairly well. I have got swatches of all of the shades to show you. I will quickly pop them on screen and we'll go through them now. And then we will go through actually an eyeshadow look. I will show you how I created this look that I am wearing today so that you can see, how the shadows really do perform up close. I want you to be able to see how they blend so that you can really make a good decision, and then I'll come back and let you know whether or not I actually think that this is worth the money. All right, so as you can see in this first lot here, we have a whole lot of oranges, and these are all the matte browns that I was talking about that kind of, when blended on the eye, they end up looking very, very similar, as do a lot of these shimmers. But yeah, a lot of oranges in this first lot. The second lot, we have a heap of pinks and corals and reds. Again, looking at these swatches, a lot of these shades do look very, very similar as well. But I guess when you have to fill up, 35 eyeshadow pans, especially with one color story, things can start to, kind of get a little bit monotonous. And then finally, lastly, we have the purples. We've got a shimmery, kind of a coppery kind of a color there, and that matte black as well. All right, so those were it for all of the swatches. As you saw from that footage and from, the close-up images, a lot of, not a lot, but quite a few of the shadows were a little bit patchy. A lot of them are quite kind of chalky-ish, especially when you're getting into more like neons and like sort of pastel kinds of colors, so sort of like this one here, these two pinks here, definitely the yellow as well, the purples, quite a lot of patchiness and chalkiness with those shadows. I have used them on the lid and I was able to get them to perform, but certainly it will take some finessing. It's not like, based on the colors that they are, these are corals, they are, pinks, purples, and they are matte shadows, so they're never really going to be, I personally have not come across an eyeshadow palette with these kinds of colors that I was like, wow, this is like so easy to use. So don't go, again, I'm saying it again, don't go into it expecting that. But for the most part, these shadows were really, really beautiful to work with. I did find that these sorts of, does she call them pressed glitters? I'm not quite, I can't remember exactly what they are called, but they are more, you've got to use a wet brush, but with a dry finger or a dry brush, they are more top coats. They will give you a really, really pretty soft sort of glitter over effect over top of other shadows. But if you're looking for really, really buttery, pigmented, super metallic shades with a dry brush, you're not going to get that from these ones. I have actually used one in the tutorial. So what we'll do is we'll jump into the tutorial now. I will show you step-by-step sort of process of how I created this, the shadows that I used, so you'll be able to get a good look at how they perform, and then we will jump into my final review. Okay, so first with a fluffy brush, I am taking Love Handles, which is like a peachy medium brown color. It is a matte. Just blending that one backwards and forwards through the crease. This one is going to act as our transition color. And then next up, I'm going to take Thick Skin, which is a slightly deeper-ish version really of the same color. Like I said, a lot of these neutral browns and a lot of the neutral colors in the palette, when blended on the eye, they do tend to all start looking very, very much the same. So yeah, just I feel like it's something that you guys need to know so that you can make like a really well-informed decision as to whether or not you want to spend your hard-earned money on this one. But I'm basically blending this one over the top, just slightly deepening it, blending it all the way from outer corner to inner corner. And as you can see, I have to use a lot of flicking motions when blending this one because it is a little bit patchy, a little bit chalky, so it does take a little bit of extra blending to get it really nice and smooth. Next up, I am taking, that's funny, isn't it? Just on a smaller pencil-shaped sort of blending brush. Basically going to be blending this one on the direct crease area and only in the outer and inner corner of the crease because I'm going to be using a lighter color through the center of the crease. And then I'm taking Crazy, and I must have been like, something crazy must be in the air because I don't know why my brush was not in the pan then. Just on a flat brush, I'm packing that on the outer corner and the inner corner. You can see here I'm using those flicking motions again because some of the shadows are a little bit tricky to blend. Flicking does help. Side-to-side motions, windscreen wiper motions, and also circular motions will help to blend these out. Just be aware that it does take a little bit of extra finessing, a little bit of extra time, and a little bit of extra blending. But going back in and softly buffing out the edges of that color, that's pretty much going to act as the halo, kind of deeper, darker portion of this eye look. Now going in with Positivity, this is a matte coral shade, packing that directly on the center of the lid. This is a really, really pretty color, this one, but it does take a couple of layers to really build up the opacity and the intensity. I wouldn't really expect too much less with a neon coral. It's a neon coral, guys. It's not going to be the easiest shade to work with. Coming back in with a small blending brush and just buffing out the edges, making sure it is all really, really well blended there. Once that is blended, I'm now taking No Joke. That's the matte yellow from the palette. Now, unfortunately, you can hardly see it on camera, but it just adds the slightest bit of warmth to the outer perimeter of the eyeshadow look. Then I'm taking Ride or Diamonds. As you can see, this shadow really is a glitter topper. I dug my finger into it again and again and again. And I'm still only getting a very small amount of shimmer. You want to use a wet brush with this one if you want full opacity. Then for the lower lash line, I'm taking Therapy Sesh. Now this is an interesting shadow. It actually does change color slightly. So you can see that sort of lighter pink color around the edge of that purple in my lower lash line. That's the same color. It changes color when you build it up. And then Certified, that is the matte white from the palette, just on the brow bone. And then finally finishing the inner corner with I'm In It, which is a really pretty duochrome white with a really pretty sort of pinky purple shimmer. And here are the finished eyes. I do quite like this look, not gonna lie. Alright guys, so that was it for the look. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how I created this. Like I said, for the most part, these shadows I find do perform really well. Do they require a little bit of extra blending? Yes, but they are matte, vibrant reds and purples. So like I said, you're pretty much, you can't really go into it not expecting them to be a little bit difficult to work with just because of the colors that they are and the formulas and things like that. Do I think the formula is exactly the same as the original palette? No, I actually find the formula in this much closer to the formulation of the shadows that were in the Vault. So yeah, whether or not you had both of them and you loved the original palette, didn't love the formula of the Vault, or vice versa, might be something to keep in mind. I do think the formula is much more similar to the Vault though. And overall, I do think that this is a really, really pretty eyeshadow palette. Like, I spent my money on it. I have it now, so I will continue using it. But would I repurchase this? No, I wouldn't. Nothing against Jaclyn. I know it wouldn't matter if I said I loved it. It wouldn't matter if I said I hated it. People are going to accuse me of having an agenda in the comments, I am sure. But for me and for all of the other eyeshadow palettes that I have, I can't see myself getting too much use out of this, only because I already have all of these shades. Now, I am an eyeshadow hoarder. I'm a collector. I obviously, part of my job is collecting and reviewing eyeshadows for you guys. It's fair to say that I have a lot more eyeshadow palettes than I need, a lot more eyeshadow palettes than I will ever use. Based on my current situation, I don't think I necessarily need this palette, and I don't think I will necessarily be reaching for it every day. Couple of reasons. These colors are a little bit too strong for what I would use on a day-to-day basis. And then all the neutral browns in this palette, because they sort of all end up looking the same on the lid, I probably won't be able to use it that much. If you are looking to make a decision between this palette and the original, I would definitely recommend you picking up the original palette. It's got a fantastic formula. They have improved the packaging of this one now, and it's got a really, really good variety of colors in it. Like pretty much anyone, whether or not you are a beginner or a makeup artist or whatever it is that you do, or you know, your level of artistry and skill with makeup, you will be able to use this. You will love it. Very, very nice formula. The new one is a nice formula, but it's just the shadows in this are not that versatile. You know, if you are wanting a hot pink eyeshadow look, then yes. Or if you're wanting a purple eyeshadow look, then yes. Or like I said, a neutral look that sort of always looks the same. You can certainly get this out of the Volume 2. As far as money-wise, I would want to see a mirror in this for $39. I mean, it is Morphe. It is mass-produced. It is, you know, they're an affordable brand. For $39, I really do want to see a mirror in this. But yeah, formula-wise, majority of these shadows do work well. But then because, again, and I just feel like I'm repeating myself over and over and over, because we are talking about neons, because we are talking about pastels, a lot of the shades in this are quite tricky to blend, so just bear that in mind when going in to buy it. Do I think it's $39 worth? I mean, you do get 35 shades in here. For $39, is it very pretty? Yes. Do I open it and feel excited? Yes, but that's because I like bright colors. If you do not love neons and super, super bright colors like pinks and purples and yellows, it's probably worth you skipping out on. It's probably worth you missing this one. It honestly, it truly depends on what you are into. So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on that one. I feel like I have just talked around and around and around in circles and didn't really make too much sense. I hope that this video helped answer any questions that you had about swatches or about the formulation or about how the colors actually look in person. A lot of the pictures that I looked at online look very, very different to sort of what this looks like actually in person. So yeah, if you do have any more questions, as always, guys, please be sure to pop them in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Give the video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I love you all heaps, and I will catch you in my next video.